Good morning, Gator Nation. Happy game week. Yes, it is game week for the Florida Gators football team. Once again, a new era begins this week. We get to say this week as opposed to coming up soon or doing a number of days countdown. It is this week. We get to talk about Gator football. Welcome to game week on the In All Kinds of Weather forecast. I am your host, Neil Schulman. You can follow me on Twitter at All Kinds of Weather, on Instagram at All Kinds Weather Blog, and on Facebook and YouTube under the name In All Kinds of Weather. My co-host Chris Gaines also with us today. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr. Chris Pitts, and you probably are familiar with this name. We've had him on the show before, and he also hosts the 84 Reasons podcast for Gator Collective. Former Florida Gator All-American tight end Ben Troupe is with us today to preview the Gators season opener against the Utah Utes. But before we get into all of that, quick word about our sponsors/partners. As always, we are proudly partnered with the Gator Good Foundation, a nonprofit organization that works to send an underprivileged Gator fan to the swamp. The Gator Good Foundation collects donations from fans and uses them to bring someone to his or her first ever Gator football game. We pay for flights, rental cars, hotels, game tickets, gear. It's an all expenses paid trip to the swamp for someone for the first time in their lives. We have closed our applications for this season. If you believe that you or someone you know is worthy of the honor for next season, though, please email us at gatorgoodfoundation@gmail.com. Donations, of course, very much appreciated, but not expected. But if you would like to and are able to donate to our cause, please go to gatorgoodfoundation.com and click on the donate button. Second, proudly sponsored by Stingray Branding. These folks will put a sting into your marketing and deliver results that will wow your clients. Whether it's web design, logo design, branding, graphic design, social media management, search engine optimization, marketing strategy, or mobile app design, Stingray Branding has you covered. If you or someone you know needs professional help in any of the above, 3 great reasons why you should choose Stingray Branding. 1, it is a veteran-owned business. Can't think of a better way to properly thank those who serve our country than by giving them business. 2, it's run by a UF alum and diehard Florida Gator fan. So yes, they do great work, but they do great work and they're owned by a UF alum who happens to be a US veteran. And 3, I personally can vouch for them as they produce the new In All Kinds of Weather logo, the new Gator Collective site. They did the Gator Good Foundation website, and they've got plenty more Gator-related projects coming their way in the near future, so keep your eyes out for all of that. With that all said, it is game week. One item of business to talk about before we talk about Gator football, though. Former Florida Gator tennis star Ben Shelton has decided to go pro. He has decided to forego his final 2 years of eligibility with the Florida Gators men's tennis program. He, if you remember, clinched the team's first ever national championship in 2021 with his win at 5th singles against Baylor. He then shot all the way up to the number 1 single spot for the Gators this past season and won the individual NCAA national championship. He is now in the U.S. Open. He has made it to the big time, and he is going to be playing a qualifier named Nano Borges from Portugal in the first round. Today, actually. I was going to say tomorrow, but today, with this will drop on Monday. You guys will hear it hours before his match. So, y'all, we get a nice little teaser, we get a nice little appetizer to the big Gator football showdown against Utah this week with Mr. Shelton's big-time event in the U.S. Open. Match starting probably, it's slated for 1 o'clock, but there's a match before him that's probably going to go on for a lot longer than just 2 hours. So figure mid-afternoon, later afternoon or so. Former Florida Gator tennis legend Ben Shelton will be playing in his first official professional tennis match as a pro. He had played at some pro events before, but he was doing it as an amateur, meaning he couldn't collect the prize money. But he has gone pro now, so this is his pro debut. He has loved his time in Gainesville. He is a Gator through and through, so let's be sure to support him at the U.S. Open by watching if we are all able to do so. All right, Chris, with that, it's time to start talking about the Gators' upcoming game against Utah, first of the year. Billy Napier's debut with the Gators. Got Ben Troupe coming on momentarily. How are you feeling?
Neil, I got to tell you, I've been talking to my family, my friends. This is probably the most excited I've been to start a football season that I can remember. It's been a long time. I mean, you've got a top 10 team coming to Gainesville. You got the Billy Napier era getting off to a good off-season start now. It's going to start this season. The crowd is going to be incredible. The game day atmosphere. I'm just so excited for this weekend to come. So I'm ready to get through this week. We got to get through this week, a couple of days here, and then we finally could be in Gainesville welcoming a new season. So I couldn't be more excited.
New season, new coach, new era, new energy, new feel. Guys going to be hyped. We know I think we're going to get the best energy, the best effort that we've seen from the Gators in an opener in a while. Not that the previous ones have been bad, but just that this one is that much more special than the others. The other ones have always been special because it's the start of a new season. You get to unwrap a new year, which is a new chance to make something of yourself and help upgrade the Gators' prestige levels a little bit more. But this one just feels like they're that much more ready to do it as opposed to hoping to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's a big opponent. We don't open with these big opponents often. But this one was scheduled years ago, and now it just happened to fall on kind of a weekend like this. It always seems to sort of work out with all these sort of storylines, Billy Napier era starting, Humidity Diabate coming in as a transfer to Utah, former Florida Gator. So you can't make this stuff up sometimes. All the stars kind of align, and we've got a really special game in store for us this Saturday.
Oh yeah, and the other story that I don't think a lot of people are mentioning, if you remember, about 14 years ago, Utah goes undefeated. They're all mad that they don't get to play Florida and claim a national championship of their own. They get Alabama, they beat them in the Sugar Bowl, so they say, "Well, wait a minute, now why can't we play Florida for the national title?" Well, 14 years later, they get their shots, and it's the same coach too, Cal Whittingham, the guy who is sort of politicking and campaigning for the Utes to get the Gators for a national title. He's here. He finally gets his shot. So that'll all be very interesting.
Yep, no doubt. So excited to see you. We'll be having a good tailgate and good time, and it'd be good to kind of reconnect with everybody we haven't seen in a long time. So let's get through this week and let's get to it.
Sounds like a plan to me. And with all that taken care of, it is time to welcome in our special guest. Week 1, Gators versus Utah. Got to have a special guest on for a special occasion. We've got one today. Ben Troupe, former Florida Gator, All-American tight end. You probably have heard of him, if not from hosting the 84 Reasons podcast through Gator Collective, a recurring guest on our show. Ben, thank you so much again, as always, for taking the time to be with us, and welcome back.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I mean, we made it, right? I mean, the season is finally here. It's almost like, I know it's 3 or 4 months between the last game and the first game. Feels like, man, whatever it is, it feels like a year. But we are here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it has been a long time. It's been a long time, felt even longer, I think, by the initial uncertainty about who the coach was going to be, the whole coaching search thing. That was done pretty quickly, but then – and I mean, just the fact that last season didn't go so well and us having to have a little bit of patience maybe on the recruiting trail. But I think at this point, it's safe to say patience has paid off there. It is game week now. We can finally put all that whole offseason, all the ups and downs of it behind us, and we're ready to talk Gator football. So, Ben, I know you're excited for the season because I had you do the voiceover for the hype up video for this year. So, first things first, I got to ask you, have you done a voiceover before for a hype video, and what was it like to do it?
I did. I have done voiceovers before. Obviously, I do sports talk radio every day, so I do voiceovers a lot, or we call them sound bites or commercials. But the only one I did that I was nervous of doing outside of when I did it for you guys, I had to do the kind of like the voiceover when Kyle Pitts got drafted a couple of years ago. Like Florida reached out to me. They was like, "We want you to do the voiceover." I'm like, "Oh God!" So it's like when they reached out to me to do it, obviously I wanted to do it, but they did it in an anticipatory type way. They was hoping that he was gonna be the highest drafted tight end. So I'm saying to myself, man, I hope he goes number 4. I hope he don't go like number 7, and we got to redo it. But it all worked out, and I've never met Kyle Pitts yet. I interviewed him when he first got to Florida, like as a true freshman. No one knew him. obviously, life has definitely changed since then. But no, I enjoy that type of stuff. I think that most former players, as much as we are like, oh, we don't want to do this kind of stuff, that's lies. They would love to get called. Like, I've tried to interview Rex Grossman a gazillion times. Rex lives under a rock. I don't think he does social media. But Florida reached out to him, and they got him to do Kyle Trask's voiceover. So for everybody saying that former players don't want to do hype videos, they are liars. They just know they're not going to get called because there's so many of us. So yeah, man, I do my best to try to have fun with that stuff, man. I mean, I got to Florida 22 years ago, so to still have some relevancy, man, is always a humbling experience.
Well, you've got quite a bit of it between the All-American Brick, the 84 Reasons podcast, Gator Collective. You definitely have some of that. So let's talk about Gators in 2022, the season opener against Utah. That's why you're here. Top 10 opponent that's coming to the Swamp for the first time, as Chris pointed out, in decades. And I think the conversation has to start with the quarterback play, because that's where everyone's looking, I think, at both sides. And let's start with Utah and quarterback Cam Rising, who I think did a good job of raising his profile in the Rose Bowl last year. I wouldn't call him necessarily a true dual threat, because he's a good runner, but he's not Anthony Richardson type level of runner. But Florida's going to have to respect that. He's definitely an above average runner for a QB. And because this is a Gator pod and we're all Gators here, I'll ask it this way. What is the plan for Patrick Toney and the Gator defense, do you think, against Cam Rising?
I think because they get to see a guy like Anthony Richardson every day, you got to force him to be one-dimensional. He's a willing runner, not a ain't too many people can do what Anthony Richardson does, but you do have to respect what he does. When you look at what he did in the Pac-12 last year, what they won like the last 9 games, embarrassed Oregon 2 times. I played him in the last game. He played him in the Pac-12 championship. He plays with confidence, because when you go to a team like Utah, let's face it, Utah's never going to get respect because of who they are, not how they play. People like, who do Utah use? Yeah, they the class of the Pac-12 right now. They really, really are. So I think the way you utilize or neutralize him is you got to make him one-dimensional. You can't let him beat you with his legs. But if he does pull it down and run, you got to make him pay. I interviewed Anthony Richardson one time, and I told him, look, man, you 240. Well, if you're getting hit by a 240-pound linebacker, that's not the same thing. Y'all weigh the same, but y'all don't do the same stuff. He's a quarterback, and you got to make him pay. I think we got guys on all 3 levels that can do it. Like a good defense, you need all 3 levels. You got Javon, you got, you got Brent Cox, you got Ventrell, you got Trey Dean. So you got guys that play long enough with each other to say, hey, fellas, let's force him to pull it down and let's smack him a little bit. And make it hard on him when he making throws. I don't know. I know they're simulating this humidity. When people try to do that, you can't simulate humidity. I've never heard of anything. We played Marshall I want to say sophomore year, when they had Byron Leftwich. They tried to do that. Guys was passing out a pregame. And as y'all know, in the Swamp, just because it's at night, it's gonna be it ain't gonna be as hot, but it's gonna be very, very sticky out there. But force him to uncomfortable football plays, because he's gonna try to do too much because they playing Florida. But if he does, make him pay, and you get a chance to hit him hard, hit him often, and I think that gives us the best shot.
Yeah, Ben, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because I think that's kind of been the big story going into this game, is how is a team from out west going to adjust to the humidity. Do you think that you've obviously played in humidity your entire career, and when you played against a team that didn't experience it, is it that, compounding of all those big blows they take throughout the game, does that start to weigh on a team like that, especially a team like Florida that might be a heavy run team this year, even, with the quarterback of Anthony Richardson, with the stable of running backs we have? Do you think that's a kind of a game plan that Florida might utilize to sort of expose that humidity issue?
You have to. You have to use everything to your advantage. It's almost like, if I play basketball against you at the rec, you might not be as good if I play you at your house. Like, you're going to hit shots at your house because you're like, well, dude, I play on this goal all the time. Humidity is just a part of the University of Florida. Like, when I was there, they didn't let us nail down. They didn't let us stand in the shade. They just didn't let us do that. And while you're thinking, man, it's an adjustment for people that do it every day. Like, we did it every day. It was an adjustment. You got used to just dealing with the brutal Like the brutal pain that comes with heat. Like what did Jimmy Johnson say? What heat will make cowards of us all. It really, really will. And it becomes, hey man, we got to get stronger as the game goes on. So if you've ever seen a Billy Napier practice, people think, oh, they in the bubble. Man, they ain't pumping no air through there. It is just as hot as in there. And I think that that has to be something that we utilize because guys are dealing with it day in and day out. And I know that they still have their struggles with it time and time again. You got adrenaline, you got momentum, you got the crowd, you got the heat, you got the home field event. You got to use all those things. And what gives you energy is making plays. Like the heat goes away if I'm making plays. You only feel the heat if you're losing and if you're not making plays. If you're making plays, you don't feel it. And like I said, those guys are going to get off the bus saying it's hot. And they're going to say, well, it's going to be a little cool. Yeah, it's going to be a little cooler at 7 o'clock, but it ain't going to be much cooler. And I just think that for Florida, I think they have to utilize – I know they got Diabate. I know he's up there. I know they asking him. He was like, look, man, as much as I'm telling y'all about it, certain things you just got to experience. And so I do think Florida hopefully can use that to their advantage.
Yeah, most definitely. Kind of switching gears a little bit, talking about our quarterback now, Anthony Richardson. A lot of people have said that he has kind of gone through this transformational offseason where, he has now become the starting quarterback at the University of Florida, which is a big deal. And with that comes the thing of becoming a leader of the team. We know the physical talent is there and the ceiling for it is potentially off the charts. But what are some of the intangibles you think he has to do when the lights come on and he is now the starter moving forward and to be successful at the University of Florida as quarterback?
He has to embrace normalcy. When you have as much talent as he has, and the way he burst on the scene was real similar to how Tebow burst on the scene. I come in to bits and spurts, so I don't have to play the whole game. So I can look like Superman because I get a couple of plays, I go out. I get a couple of plays, I come out. He has to embrace the fact that if it's not there on third down, throw it away. If you got to scramble, you got to slide. You don't have to be super on every single play. Go through your reads. Sometimes the best play is no play. And the hardest thing for he's not athletic, he's gifted. This kid is gifted. He got some stuff that you can't coach. When you get a chance to show off your gift, show them off. But we need you for every game. Like you got to think to yourself, I know the backup. I know Jack Miller's hurt right now, but I think that he has to understand, dude, if you ain't out there, it's going to be hard for us to win. And that's the responsibility. I don't think he's that vocal leader. Because people hear leadership and think, oh, well, what is leader? Well, certain leaders lead by example. They lead through the way they practice. They lead through how they prepare. With Anthony Richardson, he has the respect of everybody on that team. Offense and defense, special teams, coaches. I think for Anthony is, hey, man, can you do the normal things when it calls to do it? Can you be a game manager when it calls to do it? And can you show progress in ways that only Billy Napier and the team knows? Because there are certain throws he gonna wow us. He got a rocket in his freaking arm. I get that part, but can he do what makes Tom Brady incredible? He does the normal thing. So if he can do that, I think he'll be just fine.
Okay, so moving on from Anthony Richardson, the quarterback position, to I think what is the next most important position, the offensive line, and related to them, the running backs that are going to be relying on them for room to move. Florida's running game it existed last year because Emory Jones was a threat outside the tackles. Damian Pierce was just a monster. So it wasn't like the running game was terrible last year, but when Florida needed the tough yards between the tackles, it wasn't a reliable method of moving the football. I mean, they just sometimes, every now and then, yeah, they could. They did fine against Alabama on the offensive line, but game in, game out, it was not a tremendous offensive line, and it was not a tremendous running game between the tackles, which I know is something that Billy Napier is going to want to install for Florida. So there are three talented running backs on this Florida team: Naquan Wright, Montrell Johnson, Lorenzo Lingard. Trevor Etienne, I think, is also someone with a very high ceiling. Probably not going to get a ton of looks early in his career because of the guys ahead of him, but Florida has the pieces now in the running back room and on the offensive line. They've got the experience, someone like Osiris Torrance coming over from Louisiana, familiar with the system, and they've got experience returning guys from Florida in previous years too, who've logged a lot of snaps. So what are you looking to see from the Florida running game, and what do you expect to see in game one?
I expect to see stability. I expect to see what I know about Billy Napier coming up from Louisiana. He loves to run the football because he knows run the football means I control the tempo. Like I'm controlling everything that's going on out there in the field because running the football is what offensive linemen, they have to be taught how to like pass block. Man, coming forward, moving men, off the point of attack, create a new line of scrimmage. Because I think, and I could be biased, I think Osiris Torrance, he might be the best guard in the country. This kid was going to be a top pick had he never left Louisiana. He's that good. And Montreal coming over from Louisiana, I think he understands how Billy Napier wants to run the football. You mentioned Naquan, obviously you mentioned Lingard. I think our running game is going to be, the catalyst to this offense. What I expect to see attitude. Like the thing about Florida is you can't run the football just to keep the offense balanced. You want to run the football because it opens up for the passing game. I don't know who's going to be the main guy in the receiving core. I know we got a bunch of guys. I know we got Whittemore, I know we got, Henderson, and I know you got the tight end with Zipper and all these type of guys. But because you don't know who, you need a running game. Like you need the running game to open it up because what it does is they're gonna pack the box until we show them we can run it, and then when we prove that we can, that's gonna make it so that it makes life easier. I just expect the running game to be our calling card because let's face it, we don't have an offensive identity right now. We don't know what the offense is gonna look like, but I'd rather make it so that the running game is kind of like what we do better. Because those receivers, man, they'll see. My senior year, it was real similar to this team. Like, me, Kelvin Kite, Carlos Perez. It's not like we were household names coming in our senior year, but Deshaun Wynn and Cedric Faison, they made our life easier. Because like, all right, dude, we can't if we put 9 in the box, they're gonna throw it. But then we back it up, can they run it? So I think that the defense gonna dictate what we do. But if we got a solid run game, like I know we can. Watch what happens in the from the 20-yard line in the red zone. If we got a great running game and you go in the red zone, now Anthony Richardson can turn it on because he got a short amount of distance. Now you got these 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", Justin Short and company. So what I expect from the run game is to make life easier for everybody because when you can run the ball, man, it makes being a receiver the best thing in the world because leaning on people every play, that wears them down. I don't want you to lean on me every play. So when I got the backup, you ain't got no. I give you the SEC, not to give them any credit, but I give you the SEC championship did last year with Alabama and Georgia. They kept Jordan Davis on the field because they running the ball. So he's tired when it's time to pass for a touchdown, right? Because Utah got some big dudes. At D tackle, they got man eaters that take up 2 guys. So I think that's going to be something that we can utilize. And I'm looking forward to see it. Montreal, that kid can run the rock. And Lorenzo Lingard, for him to stick it out, everything he's been through in college, I think he's going to be good. And, hey, man, I've been wanting Etienne since I seen Travis Etienne. So the fact we got his brother, if he's anything like his brother, he's going to be very, very special.
No doubt. So looking at the playmakers on Utah side of the ball, one of the rooms that they may have an advantage is the tight end room. This is a room last year that returns several contributors from last year that had over 1,200 yards receiving and 14 touchdowns. So, and this is kind of a position where I think teams have started to, in the modern day offense, exploit weaknesses and defenses. This was your position. What is the best way to shut down a mismatch like, the tight ends that Utah will be bringing to the Swamp this Saturday?
You can't give them free releases. These guys, if you give them free releases, it's almost like you're giving up on the play. You got to be able to say, hey, you got to put a linebacker on him and say, you got to jam him because we got to reroute. And the tight end position has become so deadly. When you see what happens when you got a great one, it's almost like, dude, who can cover him? I'm bigger and faster than linebackers. I'm bigger, faster, and stronger than safeties. And if I got any type of route running ability to me, look at what it does for an offense. And Utah got 2 of them. They got 2 guys that can hurt you. I think that guys like Ventrell, they're gonna have to be ready to really help reroute these guys because 75% of most balls are caught in between the numbers. They ain't out, these guys on the outside. They guys are rare. They're very, very rare to get guys on the outside So Jay Marsh and them, they're gonna be really, 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 really bored come Saturday night. Unless they try to do some one-on-ones, which you're gonna try that. And Torrance and Trey Dean, man, y'all boys got to make life rough. You're gonna get to see what our DBs are really made of, as far as like how our linebackers work with the DBs, particularly the safeties. Because the hardest thing to deal with a tight end is if they can run routes. Just because you're big and strong and fast, but can they run routes? These guys can. And the more passes you catch, the more confidence you build. So I think they're going to have the good game plan. I like the fact that we got Mike P. I like the fact that we got Patrick Toney. I like the fact that even though Corey Raymond is working with the corners, this is going to be a scheme game. Hey man, what type of scheme are you? Because once again, if you can make life harder, it's nothing wrong with letting the tight end catch passes. You just can't let them beat you with it. I give you Kyle Pitts in this rookie year. He caught a bunch of passes, right? 1 touchdown. So teams are like, oh, we're going to let him catch it. When we get to the red zone, number 8 will not beat us. Now, that's easier in the NFL, but I think that for me, I think these linebackers, which I love great linebacker play, but linebackers ain't built to cover. Let's call it what it is. They make plays in the run game, but I think we got the guys built to do it. Ventrell makes me help because he can get guys lined up, and that was what the hard thing in 2021, getting lined up. I think that they're going to come in and say, man, jam them. Because like I said, I love the tight end position. I'm a fan of the players first. And them tight ends for Utah, they nice, man. I cannot deny it. They nice, but at the same time, I like individual matchups. And I think that the linebacker tight end, safety tight end matchup is going to be key to what type of game is going to happen on Saturday, because they're going to come at you, right? But they only got so many routes to run, man. They ain't Antonio Gates. They ain't Tony Gonzalez. But I think that, if we can find a way to come up with a game plan, don't give them no free releases, I think we got a shot, because that's going to be a matchup that's going to take 4 quarters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you touched on something that is actually going to be my next question. One thing I probably should point out, though, before I get to that, is both those tight ends that we're talking about, and Dalton Kincaid and Brand. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I know how to spell it because I've seen it written. But it's Kuithe. I think it's Keithy, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, both of them got invites to the NFL Combine last year. They both decided to come back. So being invited to the Combine doesn't mean you're going to be a first, second, third, whatever round pick, but it means that they had legitimate interest from the NFL as juniors, and decided to both come back for Utah. So not necessarily Kyle Pitts type talent, not really that unicorn level, but certainly above average Power 5 level tight ends, 2 of them that Florida can have to deal with. But tackling, that's the issue that Florida's had for decades, for a century now, in season opening games. Doesn't matter the coaching staff, doesn't matter the players. And really, it isn't even just a Florida thing. Teams across the country typically have that kind of issue in game one because they haven't really done a ton of it in practices. But Florida's going to be facing now a team that does have some athletes. They're not the SEC, but some legitimate athletes for sure. And now you tack that on to some of the season opening tackling issues that we've seen in recent years, particularly when Florida's played some big time opponents in recent openers like Michigan and Miami and Mississippi, to just pure tackling issues plus bad angles on top of that, where they don't even get to the guys to attempt the tackle. So that's really my biggest concern about this game. How do you think that Florida's defensive coaching staff is going to go about attempting to shore this up in game one?
I think that's probably been a topic. I guarantee that's been a topic of discussion since the new staff's gotten there. Because tackling is football one-on-one. Like, we live in a world where everything goes viral, right? So people want to make the big hit. Get him on the ground. Like, this is a tackle. You know how, like, if a running back runs over a dude and everybody goes crazy, but the running back stops? That's a tackle. We go, ooh, he got on the ground. Yeah, he got ran over, but I got you on the ground. I think now it's, hey, man, go take pride in your work. Get him on the ground, because every time you're trying to make an ear hole type hit, well, you leave what if he bounces off? And I think last year, not to harbor on the point, guys were just trying to do too much. Get him on the ground. And every time I see these guys, I see them working on tackling. Listen, man, shoot at the hip, shoot at the hip, shoot at the hip. Stay away from I don't like this whole targeting thing, because sometimes football is just football. We have on helmets for a reason. Sometimes they're going to collide. But just get them on the ground. Mike P going to make sure them linebackers saying, get them on the ground. D-line coach, get them on the ground. Safeties, cornerbacks, get them on the ground. Or hold him up for your teammates to get there. Like, stop his momentum, but stop his momentum and get him on the ground. Because I think too often at times, like, you go back to the Kentucky game, if we could just make a tackle, you win the game. But you're trying to do too much. Get them on the ground. So, and yes, it's going to be a test because it is the first game. But when you start seeing defensive players doing this, saying, man, just y'all calm down out here, right? It ain't going to be one loss in the first or second drive. Get your feet under you, drive your feet, run through them, get them on the ground. Because, like I said, Patrick Toney, I know we got some great coach. Pete Toney is a hell of a coach, man. Like, he really, really, really is a great coach. And, I know we got to get the Ty Grantham taste out of our mouth. I get it. But Ty Grantham had nothing to do with him not being able to tackle. He ain't got nothing to do with that. Those guys are trying to do too much. Get them on the ground. A lot of veteran leadership out there. I think we'll be fine because, once again, just like making plays on offense gives you confidence, making tackles on defense gives you confidence. Get them on the ground. Get off the field on third down. Get the ball back to the offense because they're gonna be hyped up, man. It's the first game. I get it. If I got a chance to hit somebody and it can't hurt me, hit them. But if that open field stuff, that stuff makes me nervous because guys be whiffing and doing too much. That's what lead to touchdowns.
I agree with that. And I think it is also fair to point out that Utah's also going to have that same problem because they don't go up against the same athletes for the most part in practice, and certainly not against most of their Pac-12 schedule that they've gone up against. Maybe you could say they had some against the five-star athletes they went up against in the Rose Bowl from Ohio State, but for the most part, they're not going up against that caliber of athlete that Florida's going to be bringing. So I could definitely understand, that being a two-way street, but for Florida, it's been an issue for years and not even necessarily against big-time opponents. I mean, we were missing tackles against FAU last year. So it's been something that, we do have to be cognizant of, but it is also something that is probably not going to help Utah's defense either.
Yeah, and you got to think too, like we talked about earlier, if they're getting tired at the end of the game or in the middle of the game because of the heat and the humidity, their tackling is going to get sloppy, and that's just naturally what happens. Your athletic performance dwindles as you get tired due to those kind of elements. But switching gears a little bit to the offensive line, Ben, this is a unit that I think a lot of Gator fans are excited about. It's been a long time since we've probably been this excited about a unit, and that has a lot to do with the transfer of Torrance coming over from University of Louisiana. He's been listed on some All-American lists. So what do you think we can expect from this unit? Do you think this is the best offensive line potentially in the last decade?
Oh, yes. I mean, well, yeah, because we far removed from the Pouncey brothers, and it's been a long time for those guys. But I think you got guys that have specialties. Like Osiris Torrance, he makes the whole line better. Like, he's going to make everybody better because, one, he's going to show you how to prepare. He's going to show you how to go about your business. And, man, Torrance, I had a chance to interview him. He was like, look, man, the difference in, the Sun Belt and the SEC is the size of the player, not the game. You got really, really good players in the Sun Belt. But he goes, when I get on campus, I'm 6'5", and Javon Dexter walk up to me, and I'm looking up to him like, what in the world is this? Like, yeah, man, that's a D tackle. You have to get used to the physicality, but this kid he understands how to play the position. Like, he understands how to play the position. I haven't given up a sack in like a year or so. I don't care who you go up against, man. Like, I ain't give up a sack. That just shows that he prides himself in what he does in the passing game, but he lives to road grade people. Like, he's a road grader. And he's the type of player that you want to play with. Like, when a player is really, really good, but he don't point the finger at other players, he just said, man, watch me do what I do. I'm here to give you whatever. I think our O-line is going to shock people. Because if your O-line is the best group on the squad, you got a shot to be good. Really, really good. Because now you got 5 guys that are working cohesively together. You got 5 guys who enjoy working with each other. And you understand what the standard is. I mean, we come out here, man. If we don't play well, game's over. Like, I don't care. It's over with. I'm trying to make it so that, listen, they know they got the franchise right behind them and Anthony Richardson, right? They know that he's got to be protected. But I think our O-line will be as good as advertised. I love what I'm hearing from it. Early reports are, coming back really, really well. And That's what I like. I mean, as much as I want to, love the position players, I'm gonna need our O-line to be good. I think led by Osiris Torrance, I think they're gonna be really, really good this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they kind of have to be, because that's the identity that Billy Napier has kind of told us all that he wants us all to have. First, by hiring 2 offensive line coaches, and second of all, with all the different little pointed references to football is one of the trenches that he's made at different press conferences. But I wanted to ask you about another player on another position, some that Gator fans are going to be definitely familiar with, in Mahmoud Diabate, former Florida Gator, gave his all for the Gators for the last 3 seasons, but is now going to be, his job is now going to be to try to help make sure that Florida loses. So you have some experience with this. You had a former teammate named Brock Berlin that wound up transferring to Miami, wound up unfortunately beating Florida in a game I'm sure you don't want to recall in too much detail, but what is it going to be like, do you think, for these Florida players to go up, especially the ones on offense, who are going to be going head-to-head combat against Mahmoud Diabate? How do you channel the energy of facing your former teammate in the right way? And what's going to be like for him? Like, what's going to be like for all sides, do you think, to engage in this matchup?
Oh man, love on him before the game and after the game, try to beat the hell out of him during the game. Like that's and because that's what he wants, right? Like he wants you. Look, if you don't think that when he decided where he was going to transfer, he wasn't looking. Oh, Utah got Florida. That kind of stuff matters. But number one, you happy that he landed on his feet, because he is a very talented player. But you listen, he ain't seen you in a long time. You ain't seen him in a long time. He thinks he knows your game. No, bro, you ain't seen me in a long time. And it makes it fun. Like, it makes it fun when you're going up against, because your teammates, the ones you close with, they become family to you. I don't know about y'all, man, but if I'm playing against a family member, I want to beat the hell out of him, because that's forever. Like I'm from Swainsboro, Georgia, and I played against a guy named Titus Peoples. We grew up together. He was born July the 3rd, 1982. I was born September 1st, 1982. I've known this boy my whole life, literally, and my senior year was his junior year. We got to play each other on opposing teams. Now, and he was a D tackle, so I'm going in motion talking to him. When I'm going in motion, I'm saying, look, so with Diabate, great dude, man. Great dude. Wish he would have stayed. But bottom line, he's the enemy. You got on the wrong colors. And that's football. You got on the wrong colors, we got to deal with it. Even going back to that Brock Berlin game, yeah, Miami beat us, but it wasn't because of Brock. We made sure they had Devin Hester running back kicks, Sean Taylor running back kicks, and both our quarterbacks got hurt. So Ingram Martin and Chris Lee got hurt, and we ended up with the third string guy, Gavin Dickey. And once he got in there, he was running plays we didn't even have. So shout out to Miami, they beat us. But Diabate is one player. He ain't good enough to beat us by himself. But you don't want him making so many plays that it feels like he's beating us. You don't want to look like, oh, Diabate with a tackle. But hey, man, hey, coach, we need to try to expose him. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want guys scoring touchdowns against Diabate, looking at it. Get a penalty with a Gator chump right in his face to let him know you made the wrong decision, homie. Like, you respect to you, but come on, bro. You ain't never been to Utah day in your life till you went out there to play for him. Where is Utah at? Come on, man. So I listen. I want him to stay healthy. I don't want him to get hurt at all. Do I want us to come right there? I want Osiris Torrance to put hands on him all day long. I want to see him get pancaked. I want to see him talking trash because we beat the hell out of him. And I love him, but when Diabate went to Utah, I'm like, Utah? That's like, look, if he would have went to Kentucky, anywhere other than us, and we got to play, hey, man, we ain't friends, man. Benny, guy named Benny Mills that came in with us in 2000, he went to Kentucky when Zook got there. And him and Shannon Snell used to be sweet mates. Boy, when they went up against each other against Kentucky, it got ugly for Benny Mills. It got ugly. And we was laughing at it after the game. I said, we was like, Shannon, leave him alone. We love on each other after the game. Boy, stay healthy, man. I love you, man. I see you at the next level. But during the game, boy, you made the wrong decision, bro. But, and like I said, Diabate, he's probably gotten better. I ain't seen him in a while. But man, I'll be talking trash to him, man. I couldn't be in this game, and I know that I just know the guys like Justin Shorter, Zip, and those guys, they want Diabate. Every time I meet, I said, what about Diabate players? They get the smiles and laughing because they know him. They know what he's good at, but more importantly, they know what he's not good at. So I want Justin Shorter. He built like a tight end. And catching on him, just run him over one time, run away from a stiff on him. But other than that, man, it makes it fun when you got built-in storylines, guys on the other team. But Diabate, he know what Florida got. He like, oh, bro, they got some players over there. He can warn them all day long. But when Justin Shorter run out there, you like, that's Justin Shorter. Yep. I want him to try to run through Diabate, man. Like we know what it is. Like the fans gonna boo him, and I want somebody to run through him. I want the crowd to go crazy, and I want somebody to stand up and point at him. Like, boy, look at you. You a Ute. What is a Ute? What is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what makes football fun. Like, I don't want nobody to get hurt. But I want Lingard to hit him with a nice little, I want Naquan to hit him with a nice little choice route. I want everybody to get a bite at him. You know, Xavier Henderson and run a shallow cross and just run through him. Don't even try to catch the ball. I want, Xanders and Zip to just, try to double team him on the block. Just show him, man, hey, bro, ultimately you want to be in Gainesville. You went way out here. Hey, gotta let him know. And after the game, it's gonna be similar to when Felipe went to Arkansas. We beat him, but you see how much love they showed him after the game? You know why they could do that? Because we beat you during the game. If we would have lost, I don't want to talk. Troupe, what's up? No, gotta go. Don't want to talk. I hit you on a DM or something. So that's what it is. Like, and to me, that's the ultimate level of like love you can show a former teammate. The love we showed Felipe, man, we played Arkansas. It don't get much better than that. I hope it's a similar outcome as far as like the win on Saturday night. And hey, man, we can love up on them after the game. But during the game, I want us to make a couple of highlights. I want to be on SportsCenter saying former Florida Gator Diabate getting trucked, by Naquan Wright or, Zip or Xavier Henderson. One of them. We got too many playmakers. One of y'all pick. Y'all pick which one y'all want to expose.
I love that kind of energy. I think it's going to be a fun night on Saturday. But kind of thinking about like channeling that energy though in the right way, because this team has at times in the last few seasons played very undisciplined. That undisciplined nature has cost us games. Limited our ability and our margin of error. How do you think Napier is going to keep this team focused and disciplined? That's something he's been harping on during fall camp for this opener.
I think I read something. I saw something where he showed how many penalties the team had last year and showed everybody how many penalties they had, like pre-snap, post-snap. So you're helping them without even them having to make a play. And he's telling them, look, it is not our job to give them free yards. Don't give them free anything. Make them earn every single yard. And he's probably showing them that's the difference in winning games and losing games. You got to play. You got to play with a controlled emotion. Football is about the most emotional game you're going to get outside of boxing. And I think that these guys got to understand every time you play as an individual, we die on that hill. Every single time. You got to hunt together. Either we'll hunt together or we will die as individuals. And it won't get – because think about this. If at the end of the game, if we had over 100 yards and penalty yards, that's yards they didn't have to do anything for. They gave them and Florida was awful last year. It's almost like every time a flag got thrown last year, we all go, oh. We was almost clapping when it was against them because it was so many penalties. You cut down, there's a time of possession, turnover ratio, penalty yards. If you can win those three, you usually win the game, regardless of what happened in the game. Turnover ratio, like I said, penalty yards, and just time of possession. And one thing I love about Napier, attention to detail. Think about it. He walk in and say, if I call your name, stand up. You had 10 penalties last year. You're like, what? That's kind of stuff that you don't hear. That's the kind of stuff you ain't used to. He's placing a responsibility on everybody. So holding calls, PIs, unsportsmanlike, false starts. Really? Like, dude, when you in the offense, you don't know when they're going to snap the ball? So I think that's going to be a competitive advantage for us because I guarantee you go back to the best teams in the country, one thing they have in common, they don't have a lot of penalties. They usually win time possession, and they win the turnover battle. That's before you even get into who does what. So if we can handle that, which we control that, I think we got a shot. Because once again, we trying to make teams beat us. If they're better than us, we can live with it. Okay, cool. But if they beat us because holding, we're like, come on, man. It's like, bro, if he beats you, don't hold him. So I think that's going to be hopefully another competitive advantage. And I want to see how Napier treats them if I hope it's a slim if they do start doing that. Because if you beating yourself, man, the game is already lost. We just out there for 60 minutes. So if they can handle that, which I like the fact that Billy Napier is an attention to detail. He's a details dude. He wants to, so if we can do that, which I think we will, hell, we ain't got nowhere to go but up from last year. Jesus Christ. I mean, if we can't do better than last year, it's going to be a long year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So before we get to the last part of our podcast here and breaking the game down, I want to kind of give you an opportunity to plug your new podcast, 84 Reasons, that you've been doing with the Gator Collective. You've done some fantastic interviews, not just with football athletes, but all Gator athletes throughout our entire program. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about that and maybe kind of get into just how great of the athletes that we have and how lucky we are to have at the University of Florida that we're recruiting and are making a difference on our campus.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. 84 Reasons took on a life of itself when the Gators Collective first happened with Eddie Rojas, and they put me on this council, this advisement board. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I didn't know what that was. I wasn't advising anybody. I didn't have nothing to do with it, but I knew that I wanted to be able to have, some type of interaction with the current crop of athletes, which is almost impossible now, not because they don't want you to have access, but you got to protect them. Everybody has access to them through social media. Now with NIL. So me being in the sports media space, when I spoke to Eddie, I had Eddie on my show to talk about NIL, Gators Collective. And originally it was supposed to be called More Than, right? But I was like, More Than, that sounds like too much to More Than an Athlete owned by LeBron. I don't want no cease and desist letters coming to my house. I don't want to deal with LBJ. Love you. I don't want those problems. So I wanted something that was originally mine. So what I told him was, I said, how about 84 Reasons? And what I can say about Eddie and Jen, it wasn't no pushback or anything. Like, not saying that I would have been mad had they called it something different, but I wanted to have something that was authentically mine. And I want to have something that sounded like something worth coming on and have a conversation. Because like I say, when I say no games, no gimmicks, just reasons, we have conversations on that. And it's my way of being like an extension of the staff. I don't want anything from them. I'm not DMing them saying, hey, man, can I get some merch or can I get to – because of my position that I do every day, I get credentials to the game. So I could be right there standing next to them when they're warming up. They're looking at how you do that. That's my job. And I represent the other side of sports, meaning if I don't show that when the game ends, I can have just as much fun not playing, because that's what I had to realize, dude. A lot of times they don't see us having fun. They see us complaining, mad at the world. Why can't I get box seats? Why ain't Florida sent me? No, I want Javon. I want Trey Dean. I want Fudge and those guys, Judd Fabian. I want every last one of those athletes, whether male or female, to know life away from the sport could be grand. And I want you to talk to me about you. I can talk to you about it. You're going to have all year to talk about Tennessee, LSU. When I learned about Javon Dexter saying that his father died right before he played in his first game and his daddy prepared him. I know he had his son, Javon Dexter, I think the second or whatever, or Lorenzo Lingard saying that his father's been on dialysis and he almost lost during COVID. Nobody would have known. I didn't know that. And they come on there and they telling me about that. And it's learning about the person, man. They are super duper like poised and professional, and they smarter than me. Ain't no way in hell Zook or Spurrier would have let me on no camera. They'd be like, True can't do no interviews. Now, because you have to learn to be in this space. I've had other teammates that wanted to do something with Gators Collective, but I told them when they ask about me in the facility, they upstairs. They talking to Jim McClain and Mike Spieg and them. They up there talking to the sports and information department. They ain't talking to me with Vernell, which is great. So, and it's been a blessing. It really, really has, because I've spoken to, women's basketball, men's basketball, track, volleyball, gymnastics. I ain't talking about it on softball yet or tennis yet. Like, I want to talk to Joseph Boulay. I want to talk to Ben Shelton, the tennis, because this is my contribution. This is a former athlete talking to the current athletes, telling them, listen, I'm not out there saying if we would have played when y'all would have played, I'm tired as hell. I do not want to play with y'all. I am not envious of y'all. Happy for y'all. Beautiful facilities, but this is a older me. This is the current me talking to the younger me. And it's been fun. It really, really has. We're gonna do more former players, like we've had D Webb on there, Jeff Dips on there. So if you played for Florida, both previous, present, or future, hey man, come through and holler at me. And I just try to tell them, stay away from them cell phones when you're driving, because while you think you got a good connection, I can't even hear you. So pull the car over and don't have your dog in the interview, because these dogs take over these interviews. Hey man, put the dog out there. But it's fun, man. It's been a blessing. And I'm looking forward to future episodes. And I'm trying to get these coaches on, man. I told Trent Whittemore, tell Billy Napier to stop ducking me, because I could be wrong, but Billy Napier went to Furman. My friend Isaac West, who I came out with in 2000, I think he threw passes to him, but I got to confirm it once he come on. So I'm still trying to get Billy Knapp on, man. Still trying to get him on.
All right, so a couple things to take note of there. Number one, if you're a current or former athlete, do not drive in your car. Do not have your pet in your car with you.
No, you can have your pet with you. Just make sure they ain't all in the camera. I can't remember who I was interviewing, but the dog is like literally in the camera. Like, he won't move. It's like he's looking at me. I said, should I interview him? I mean, everybody got a dog these days. I love dogs. I ain't never interviewed one. So,
fair enough. They do not make for the best interview subjects, I guess. Okay, so we'll take note of that. Number two, I mean, you mentioned a lot of former athletes. Got a shout out again. Talked about it at the top of the show, but Ben Shelton, the guy that you want to interview, I'm sure he'd be happy to interview you with you at some point. He's kind of busy right now because tomorrow or today, I guess, this is going to drop on the day that he plays his first match as a professional tennis player at the U.S. Open. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be cheering him on in my orange and blue. Ben, if you're listening to this, I hope you take note of your fellow Ben's request and you come on his show sometime, as well as ours. We'd love to have you too. Anyway, with all that said, time for the first of 12 times we're going to do this year, our big wrap-up segment to the show, the verdict. We're going to go one at a time. We're going to go keys to the game. Then we're going to give our percent chance we think Florida has to win. Ben, I know you love your Gators, but let's try not to say 100 for this one. And then we're going to give our score prediction. So guest first, Ben, what do you think the key or keys to this game are for the Gators?
The keys to the game for Florida is they're going to have to do something against Utah that everybody have a problem with, and that's running the ball. It is extremely hard to run the ball against Utah. They have massive D tackles, as I mentioned earlier, that they built to be run stoppers. They ain't built to get pressure on the quarterback. They built to take up two blockers and let them linebackers run. So what Florida wants to be known for, they're gonna have to bully their way against Utah, because Utah is built to stop the run. Florida's gonna have to establish the run. And when it comes to the quarterback positions on both sides, Anthony Richardson is going to have to play within the confines of the defense, find the holes in the defense, pull his, show that S on his chest when need be. And as far as our defense, I think our defense can really go out there and play loose. Brenton Cox got some lofty expectations. This boy said he won a sack a quarter. I ain't never seen that before, but unleash Javon, unleash Brenton Cox, right? Unleash Princely. Ventrell, be that 6-year senior, and I think our secondary. I know they ain't talking about. I think they got a shot to be the best, if not the best, in the nation. These boys are gonna fly around, and at the end of the day, I think that Billy Napier, you're gonna realize that he plays a brand of football that people don't like. When you run the ball, people don't like that, because that's bully ball. That's, hey man, I'm gonna force you against your will. You're here and I'm gonna put you there. Yep, we run it to the left and you can't stop it. And I'm looking forward to it. I think the best, I would have loved to have a cupcake team to kind of build some confidence, but I like this right out the gate. Pac-12 champ, You know they coming in. They can't wait. They can't wait to score to do the Gator Chomp. We got the number one celebration where everybody want to do it and don't wear orange and blue. But if our defense can hunt, if our offensive line can be what I think they are, we can establish a run, make number 15 be mad because he don't got to do that much. But hand the ball off and, make some plays in the passing game. I think Florida got a really, really good shot, especially with it being at home at night.
Yeah, so my keys to the game are, I think this team has to play very disciplined football. I want to see, if they can limit the penalties, seeing if the effort they've put in the offseason in regards to that pays off. So my keys to the game would be, let's have less than 6 penalties. If we can have less than 6 penalties, then I think that this team has a better chance of winning the football game than if they had more than that, closer to the double-digit range. The other thing is, how does this team respond to adversity? Because Utah is a very talented team. They're a top 10 team. They've earned that ranking. They are defending Pac-12 champions. They almost beat Ohio State, who many believe is a playoff team, potential national title contender this year. That's the kind of team that they are. They're going to make plays in this game. How do the guys respond when they make a play? If Anthony Richardson throws an interception, does he come back the next drive and throw a touchdown? Leads us to a touchdown drive. Or, we give up a big play on offense. Does the defense bend, but do they break? Those kind of things. Because I think last year there were just moments where the team, they let the big play happen, they let something bad happen, and they just didn't respond to it. So can they respond when adversity strikes? And then obviously, like I mentioned, limiting the penalties. And then the other thing is, can we control the clock? And I think that's going to go to what Ben's point is talking about, how if we can run the football effectively on these guys, we're going to be able to do that. We're going to limit their chances at scoring on offense. I think we're going to probably have to play a game where we win. And I'm not going to give away my score prediction quite yet, but I think this is one of those games where I think the winning score is going to be somewhere in the 20s. And I think that you're going to have to control the clock in order to limit their opportunities on offense to make those big plays. And if we're able to do that, win the time of possession, limit our penalties, and then respond in at moments of adversity, this team's going to win this football game Saturday.
I'm very tempted to make my keys revolve around Anthony Richardson, because I think he is going to be the most watched player, certainly by fans of other than Florida and Utah who are tuning in to watch this game, and probably by most Florida and Utah fans too. But I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to keep them both away from him. And I'm just going to say block and tackle. If you're the offensive line, you have to make your blocks. You can't miss an assignment. You can't try to go sew up the wrong gap. You can't put your hands in the wrong space. You got to have the right pad level. You got to do the fundamental things on the offensive line. If you're a running back, if you're in on the blitz pickup assignment, you got to do it. You can't whiff on it, and you can't let Richardson get nailed from his blind side. You just got to block and tackle on defense. I mean, talked about it earlier, that's the thing that really is scaring me. And it's not even so much because it is Utah or another Power 5 team. It's because something that Florida has struggled with through the Muschamp, McElwain, Urban Meyer, even Spurrier days in openers. The Gators just have not always been great at this in the first game. And it's not something that's unique to Florida. I think a lot of teams across the country, have this first game of the year where they haven't really had a lot of experience tackling before 4 months, because in practice for the last several months, Florida hasn't been doing a ton of it to try to limit injuries. So this is going to be their first, real live game experience where they have to do the fundamental things of tackling and try to bring someone to the ground and in a long time. And it does cause problems for teams. So if Florida can, they're not going to look like experts at either. I don't think they're going to be able to, put on either a blocking or a tackling clinic in this game. But if they can just at least be competent, if they can be adequate in these two areas in game one, I think that the needle definitely shifts a bit over towards Florida to win. And on the other side too, Utah, if they don't block and they don't tackle, or if they do those two things even worse than Florida does, then I think that the needle definitely moves towards Florida. So those are our keys. Ben, when we did our season preview pod with Chris Doring, we went game by game and assigned a percent chance that we think Florida has to win each of their 12 games. Obviously, the the percent chances that we gave for games like South Carolina and FSU are going to be very different as we get closer to those games, because a lot of time is going to elapse between now and then. Chris, I mean, you and I are not married to the percent chances we gave in that, so feel free to change it if something made you want to change it. But Ben, you're our guest, so go ahead and tell us, what percent chance realistically do you think Florida has to win this game? Obviously, anywhere from 0 to 100. Where would you say?
I mean, I give them a 60% chance. I mean, and the reason why I say 60 is that 10% over is because they are at home. I think being at home at night definitely gives them an opportunity. I respect Utah. Make no mistake about it. And this team is good. Like I said, it's because of who they are, not how they play. They can play football. You can beat Ohio State. That's one of the best teams in the country. You can almost beat anybody. I mean, really. And but I give them a 60% chance. I just think that for me at night, swamp, it's hot, it's humid. I think that bodes in our favor. The last big time game like this, and this goes back a minute. I remember when Ole Miss came in ranked number 1 against Florida, wearing all orange, and it was a similar situation, and they got ugly. And it stayed ugly for Ole Miss all game. I'm not going to mention the quarterback who was there because he moved on after that game. Yeah, but I just think for me, I give him a 60% chance only because if it was at Utah, I would have went 40%. I think that being at home helps the home team if they are a good team, and I just think that the Florida fans, I don't think Billy Napier gonna have to do a PSA like Dan Mullen used to do. Like, hey, fans, come out and cheer. They're gonna do that, right? So because of the home field advantage, the heat, the humidity, the atmosphere, I give them a 60% chance.
It's funny you mentioned that game, that Ole Miss game, Ben, because I think I was talking to another fan who thought that like this game could play out that way. Like it just gets ugly early. Like the crowd is just in it. I was at that game as a student at the time, and I mean that was an electric atmosphere. I'll never forget when that quarterback you speak of threw like off his back foot 50 yards to DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah,
that was. Oh my gosh. But I said 52% at our State of the Program address. I'm sticking with 52% right now. I'm sure as the season goes on, my percentages for the other games might change, but I'm saying 52%, mainly because I do think this is a 50-50 game. If you look at the spreads from Vegas, it has been anywhere between 1.5 to 3, and it has just stayed right there in favor of Utah. Florida has covered the spread 90% of the time in the last, I think, 10 years when they've been an underdog at home. So that bodes well for us, I think. So I do think this is a very close game. I do think that the humidity, the heat, the crowd, those factors play into it. I just do. I think that you're going to see Utah at times, and especially in the second half, start to make some errors because it is affecting them. Whether that's a false start, poor tackling, missed assignments. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game, is that Florida stays disciplined and makes the plays when it matters. So I do think 52%, though, I'm going to stick with that.
Here's a wild card, Chris. What if it rains? Because I've seen some projections that it might do that. Does that help or does that hurt?
I mean, that to me, that's a wild card. I mean, Ben, I always think of the game. I think it was 2002. Y'all went up to Knoxville, and that was just a monsoon up there.
Yes, it was.
And we were an underdog in that game, if I remember correctly. They were a top 5 team, and we dominated. But the rain played a factor in that game because Tennessee turned the ball over many times. So do you think in a situation, I guess I'll turn the question that Neil's asking me.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should go ahead.
What is the rain going to do? How do you think that factors?
If it rains, it may or may not.
That actually still factors in Florida's favor because we want to run the ball anyway. Right? Like they want to run the ball. That's just going to mean that, you're going to hear ball security, because it's like this. No matter what, both teams have to deal with the conditions. Both teams got to deal with it. And it just, when it rains, it just means that you're going to see running backs like holding the ball like this more compared to just, holding like a loaf of bread. But Florida want to run the ball rain or shine. The thing about a run game, it is built for bad weather. That's what it is built for. The passing game, well, that's going to be a work in progress for Florida no matter what. But if it rains, hey, man, change your cleats. make sure, you ain't gonna have when it rains, guys ain't gonna have as much stuff on their elbows, on their arms, because any material is gonna be wet, make it loose. But I don't think it changes our game plan at all. Ball security, both with the quarterback, running back exchange, going through his reads, protecting it. Guys just either take the gloves off and get back to just playing, like you did when you was in middle school. But I think the rain, once again, still helps Florida. Because Utah already got to deal with the heat. They don't want bad conditions. That's just so I don't think it changes Florida's game plan at all, and I still stick with it. I think that I don't know if they practice in bad weather, but man, if you practice in Florida long enough, man, you're gonna have to deal with the mud. You can deal with that. I hope it doesn't. That's why I don't like night games. They take for freaking ever. But hey man, we gotta live with it.
So we are recording this late on Sunday night. As of this very moment, of course, weather does sort of change prediction-wise, but as of this moment, I am looking at it a 61% chance of rain at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, 59% chance of rain at 8 o'clock, and then it sort of drops off down in the 20s after that. But it could rain and it may not. So just got to keep that in mind one way or another. We have now predicted our win percentages based on whether it is raining and if it is not. So we got both of those out there. I will say 53% for Florida either way. And I think the 53% is a little bit different depending on the scenario. I think if it rains, I think Florida does run the ball a bit more. I think if it doesn't rain, then the heat is just a little bit nastier for Utah, just a little bit more uncomfortable for them to deal with. Of course, the rain is kind of uncomfortable too. I will say 53% rain or shine, though, for Florida to win. Utah does have athletes, as we've talked about. Florida's historical inability to tackle in season openers is not only a Florida thing. That also is something that I think Utah will have to definitely shore up in game one. So score prediction time. We've stalled long enough. We've put it off long enough. Let's get to it. Ben, you're our guest. What have you got?
I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game. I think that we're going to learn a lot about second half adjustments. But I do think Florida wins, and it's going to be a nail biter. I go 28-24 Florida. Billy Napier gets his first win, in the Billy Napier era in the Swamp.
Dang, Ben, we're almost on it. I have 27-24 Gators.
Dude.
This is one of those games, maybe special teams at the end, maybe a field goal is the difference. I mean, I'm predicting 3 points there. So I do think Florida, this is a game where they're able to control the game at the end. I think that's really what it's going to come down to. Maybe not, I'm not predicting a game-winning field goal or anything like that, but we're holding a late lead and we have to milk that clock down. And I think we do it. We pull it out. Big first win in the Billy Napier era. I
have to change mine now. Chris,
you don't have to. I mean, you can keep it. You could just risk it and say that we're going to kick a game-winning field goal. I didn't go that far.
I could. Before I give mine, I'll change it slightly. I will throw Dustin's score prediction on. He could not be part of the pod today, but he says 31-27 Gators. I think we're all in the same ballpark. I'll say 28-24 just to be different. But I mean, the thing is, if it does rain, kicking field goals is going to be a very tall task. So I will say that even if it's not raining at game time, the field could be wet. The conditions could be such that maybe it isn't so conducive to kicking field goals. If Florida does have a bit of an unsettled situation at kicker right now, they don't have a proven guy like Evan McPherson. So I'll say that they win 28-24. So we're all very much in the same ballpark. We've all got a very slightly above 50% chance for Florida to win the game. I think we've all got score predictions within. But Ben, what was yours again? What was your exact score prediction?
28-24, same as yours. 28-24.
It was 28-24. Okay, so yeah, we're all within a point, except Dustin, who's 3 points north of both of ours.
It's gonna be a long game, fellas. 7 o'clock, bunch of commercials. It's gonna take forever to get this game over with. I don't want no rain delays. I'm like, not to give them any love, but that team, that other team we play in the ACC in Tallahassee, You saw what they did to get their first. It's a different opponent, but running the football, it makes life so much better, man, because the receivers, they want to catch the rock, but they want a dub. They want a dub. I think the offense will get better and better as the year goes on.
Let me just say one thing really quick about Duquesne. They, as far as FCS teams go, that's a bad one. That's a really, really bad one. So I'm putting zero stock into that. The teams,
I'm just. I mean, that's the first win they've got in the first. That's the first game, one win they got.
2016. Yeah.
So listen. At the end of the day, like I said, I'm a fan of the players first, college football second, then Florida. But I just know that I'm not trying to. No, when we play them, that's a long ways from now. We're gonna beat the hell out of them. I ain't worried about them. I'm just saying when you run the ball, man, it makes life easier because you want to win more than you want to have good stats. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself when I say that. I don't want to have, a bunch of stats and we lose. I want to be, hey, bro, we won the game. Why? It's easier to come back to class. It's easier to come back to practice because you're dealing with a dub. Plus, everybody want to beat the big bad Gators, man. We get it. We got that moniker. Everybody wants to beat us because we are resume boosters. No matter what people say, Tennessee think they're the everything school. Yet they haven't won in everything. I don't know where they get that from. If your greatest baseball team in history didn't go to Omaha, what the hell is that? Anyway, I ain't even going to go on a rant on these other schools. I'm just saying everybody wants to be like us, man. They just won't say it. So, but Utah, hey, man, they're going to give us a run. And I want a good team game one because y'all already know who coming to town game two. So, no mulligan.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not like if Florida wins this game, they get to party and enjoy it for too long. If they lose this game, they can't sit and cry about it for too long because the game is even bigger next week.
Of course.
But then again, that's the life in the SEC. That's the life when you're the Gators. You got to have big games, more than just once or twice a year, unlike that school in Tallahassee or the one down in Coral Gables. But that's what it is to be a Gator. You have big games almost every week. That's why you come here. So
it's what we do, man. It's what we do.
So I think that's going to do it for this episode of the All Kinds Weather Forecast. If you did enjoy our show, please go and leave us a 5-star review and a nice rating on Apple Podcasts. We definitely would appreciate that. Ben, we really appreciated you and your insight and everything you bring, man. The energy is just contagious. We love having you. We can't wait to have you again. I'm pretty sure everybody knows where they can find you. We've talked about the 84 Reasons podcast, but for those who maybe don't know, where can everyone hear more of you, read your work, and find you on social?
Just all at Ben Troupe 84, at Pigskin Radio. And I enjoy coming on, man. I think when it comes to me, I'm never, ever going to get, quote, too big time to come on. No, man, you guys validate me, man. It's always been like that. You guys validate what I'm doing. Like I said, my phone rings, you guys, or my DMs open to be able to come on shows like yours. Most guys are like, man, how do I do that? Or reach out to them. Like, there are people that want to come on you guys' show. And I said, well, reach out to them. Like, let them know you want to come on. They're not going to just know. If you ain't got no kid that's going to Florida like Ernest Graham, they don't know what the hell you want to do. You better go reach out to him. So I appreciate you guys having me on, though. It gives me a chance to talk about them boys. Y'all know who I'm rocking with. Sometimes I have to pick against them. That's the analyst in me. I'm learning because a couple of years from now, 2016, Florida could play Green Bay, Florida by 10. Yep, I had to learn you can't just do that. We know who you want to win, but man, I enjoy coming on. I appreciate you letting me do the hype video. And hey, man, as long as you guys have me, man, my number won't change. And as you can see, I've got my technology a little bit better these days.
Yes, I was gonna say you've definitely upgraded that. I'm gonna see you soon. I'm gonna see you, and we're gonna get to hang out not that far into the future this week. Yeah. I look forward to it, man. Chris, I'll see you too. Ben, you're gonna be hanging out on game day. We gotta all get together.
Oh yeah, man. If I'm down there in game day, you guys get to see me before the storm hit. Because when I'm up in that booth, I'm not sitting by nobody. I don't want to I don't want to talk to nobody. I got my headphones focused. I'm living and dying with every play. The booth ain't what people, the press box ain't what people make it to be, man. I'm up there like this. What are we doing? Yelling and screaming. So, but I'm getting better with it, man. I'm getting better with it.
Well, we appreciate it, man. We've loved having you. We can't wait to have you again. We know this is going to make for an amazing show, and we cannot wait to see the Gators take the field and hopefully, just hopefully, start the Billy Napier era with a dub.
Yes, that's all I want. I know the game ain't gonna be over till like 11:59, but I just want to get the dub.
That's right.
All right, fellas, man. I appreciate it.
You too, man. Thank you.